Well, that's been my whole life purpose, building a fairer and more inclusive society. From my days as a student activist through my 40 plus years in government. And now, if I'm fortunate to be elected as president, I intend to be an active president, supporting ground up initiatives by civil society organizations, NGOs, groups of volunteers, every initiative to help everyone with disadvantage. It's not just about charity. It's got to be about upliftment, focused on the kids in the earliest stages of their lives, those who start off with less, focused on the earliest stages of their lives. Early lives matter.
I will continue the wonderful tradition of the President's Charity because it involves large numbers of people contributing to worthy causes. Now, I will certainly want to examine which of these charities we should continue. But I have one more which I like to especially promote, and that is looking after the elderly people, especially those above 80, where they need more care. And it's not only looking after them, it's also relieving the burden on their children.
Many people are very vulnerable, either because they are elderly, or they are very sick, or they are very poor. So I would like to see more efforts being given to supporting volunteers, caregivers, who spend so much time looking after the less fortunate members of our society. So I would like, in my role as president, to be known as the chief volunteer, to inspire all volunteers and to encourage them to do their utmost.
It is not helpful when you are solving difficult problems to mix up the concept of, is this the solution of party A or party B? I do not believe in politicking because it's taking away time that should be go into understanding the problem and solving the problem. So I do not agree with the framing that any solution is politicizing.
If you have candidates who are supported or endorsed by any political party, there's a danger that the president cannot act without fear or favor, because the president might have been influenced in serving the political agenda of the political parties concerned. So I stand as the only non-partisan candidate.
Let's avoid simple labels. This is a contest between individuals who have to be assessed on their character, whether they have the spine, whether they have the track record, whether they'll be able to keep the trust of the people who are electing them. If we go with the label of whether you've been a member of a political party or not, I think that's extremely simplistic.
I want to be a unifying figure for the nation by encouraging more interracial help. I think the emphasis in the past has been too much for caring for our own racial community, our own religious community. But I think it would be wonderful if we can move into the next step of encouraging members of one community caring for members of other community.
There are very few differences which cannot be bridged. We've got to work at it. Bridging those differences, even if you can't agree on everything, respect the differences of perspective and find common ground. I intend as a president to advocate that very strongly, finding that common ground as our democracy becomes more diverse, and respecting the fact that at the end of the day, our greatest strength is that we're Singaporeans together.
I bring back the Singapore 50 years ago, when people were very proud to be Singaporeans because they find that living in Singapore they enjoy being Singaporeans. So my focus is let's make life easier for people so they can be more unified and be more looking after other people than themselves. we should therefore be willing to look into the real issues that are making people worried. When people are worried, they become more divisive. They quarrel with their other neighbors. The best way to reach them is through social media. And social media keeps evolving. I am very much up to date in social media, and I therefore would be able to connect with them and hear their views. I would also attend events of young people, and I want to give young people some advice. The advice that served me, and it will continue. It will serve them as well. I was young once. I know what young people want.
I think the most important thing is for us to inspire hope. Hope in our younger generation for the future. I sense that there's a lot of anxiety about the future. They feel that the future is not going to give them as much opportunities as in the past. So we must have this ability to encourage our young that if they do study hard, if they work hard, Singapore has got plenty of opportunities for them.
I believe our young will write the next chapter of the Singapore story by being heroes in their own stories. And I don't just mean those who start off as star students, star sports persons, but every individual Singaporean. We have a lot more potential in each individual Singaporean than we often recognize. And it means not just telling everyone that it depends on them and they can make it, but tapping on the power of collective support, peer support, teachers taking a particular interest in the weaker student, giving them a chance. I would also say, never lose sight of the fact that the biggest challenge facing the world, and every country in the world, including small countries like us and small island states like us, is climate change. We've got to start preparing to adapt and to respond to climate change. It may require some new finances. It may require the use of reserves for long-term investments, and the president has to be on top of understanding that challenge.
We are too costly a place to live and too costly to do business. So I consider that we need to be more competitive. We must find ways to bring down our costs of property, of wages, to bring down our business costs so that we can be competitive in the world.
I think the domestic challenge is that our society, particularly our younger generation, are getting more cynical about government. They're getting less trusting of government. And this is quite worrying for me. And so one very important thing is for the government to restore trust in the government among the people, especially the younger generation.